This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in. I hear it. I'm just trying to pause for effect.
We're live.
We are live. And Royden Ogletree is back with us.
Yeah.
I had to do 2 days with Garrett last week. Yeah, no. Actually.
Oh, man.
No. So we missed you, but you were in Spain.
I was.
You went to Barcelona. You went to Madrid. Mm-hmm. Did you go to Bilbao?
No, it would be like flying into Texas because they're
Seville? Did you go to
Seville?
Seville?
Yeah,
Sevilla?
Sevilla. I still don't know which one to call it, but I guess the locals call it Sevilla, but I'm not going to call it Barcelona. I'm not going to do that. Mm-hmm. But we went to the three kind of main cities that you would see on any tour, but it'd be basically like flying into Texas and being like, I'm going to go to Houston, Dallas, and Austin. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we did. But no, it was great, and I'm exhausted, which is exactly what you want to be coming off of a vacation.
Yeah. No. I get it. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that you're here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Talk about things that matter, like college football.
Yes, Royden. Things that matter. Mm-hmm. You know, while you were gone, did I see any movies that we could talk about before? So I just like to irritate the people who are like, Paul, talk about sports.
Yeah, no.
I enjoy that part of it.
We don't have to do that at all today if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do like irritating it. And here's the great news. As of right now, we are streaming live on 2 channels. We are on 365 Sports, and we are on the brand new The Triple Option with Paul Catalina channel.
Look at that.
There we go. So
go subscribe to that.
Yeah, so please go subscribe to that. And eventually that's where we will be doing the show, and that's where all the clips and things will live anyway. So every clip from this show will live on the Triple Option page. We'll still simulcast live for a while because what does it matter? You know, but that way people can see it. But this is an attempt to get a new audience. We've had this channel that's, has 12,000 subscribers to it. It was originally CFB with JD, the great JD Piquel, when he was here. And, we made him into a superstar. I mean, I don't think Jack would agree with me that Jack and I played a huge part in making JD a superstar.
Are you getting any revenue off those Prize Pick ads that I get inundated with on my Twitter feed?
With JD in them?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No.
But what is it good for?
Well, here's the deal. One day, and that day may never come, he's going to have to do a favor for me.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's the Italian thing. Like, but we're very proud of JD and what he's been able to do.
You're going to owe me something one day.
Yeah. But
a little back end.
He was here. Then he got this great job at On3, and he ascended the ranks of the college football good-looking,
elites.
Analysts.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, Josh Pate, him, me, like, we're all the same.
Similar.
It's all the same.
Very similar.
Yeah. I mean, there's not, like, if you look at JD and me, and we used to do a show together, if you look at JD Piquel and me, you're going to be like, those guys are definitely twins. Mm-hmm. Like, seriously.
Like in the Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger sense? Or
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly that kind of a thing. Separated at birth, 18 years apart. Like... Yes. So
you're doing yourself a little favor with it. You're like 20,
18. I don't know, like 20, maybe 20. No, that would make him 24. He's older than 24. So I'm gonna give it like 15 years.
Okay, good.
Like 15, 16, maybe 12.
Your interns just keep getting younger and younger, Paul.
Yeah. I keep making him older and me the same age.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem. So we are on that channel, so please go subscribe to it. We're super excited about it. We haven't been able to put daily content on it. Well, guess what? For a year now, we've been doing daily content on this. So we're like, you know what? We have enough stuff. Let's do it. Let's move it over. Let's do that. So here we are.
Has it only been a year? I feel like we've been doing the show forever.
No, it's just been a year.
Oh.
It's been a year. It's been exactly.
We've always been doing this show.
It's been exactly a year longer than the other triple option that has been done by Fox and Urban Meyer and Mark Ingram and Rob Stone, which I will take them down if it's the last thing I ever do.
Oh, yeah.
Or the other triple option, of which we don't even need to mention because still more than them. Mm-hmm. So I am out ahead of it.
You own it.
Yes, I do. I mean, like I have first to the finish line. Now, here's the deal. in radio, things like that, like there are tons of zones and, morning drive and all these different things. There's not a lot of differences in the names, right? Occasionally you'll get like sports talk mornings with Bubba and the Gunball, or whatever, because they gave each other nicknames.
This is your drive time radio with Fart Master and Poop. And you're just
yeah, exactly. So you'll have those things. And again, nobody's going to go like, well, I really wanted to be Fart Master and Poop. Like that's not, they're like, that's good for Fart Master and Poop. I'm glad that they did that, what was the, oh, okay. Never mind. Other one. You and I can work this out. Maybe we join up together. Maybe we do this
handshake agreement.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, like usually it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like these things are in the air, right? That's how it is. There's a limited amount of sports terms. You can't just keep coming. But when I looked up, and there's this, by the way, a pro football podcast. So when I Googled this, I Googled triple option college football podcast. Nothing. There was nothing, because we came up with a list of names, and, a couple of them, right away on the Google were just gone. Like there was already one. And even though one of them was a name that I liked, the podcast wasn't very big, but I was like, well, I don't want to do that to them. Like if this is actually successful and then like, I'm this guy who took away their thing. Well, I don't want to be that guy. Well, Urban Meyer's that guy.
You would gladly do that for Urban Meyer.
So yeah, no, I'm.
By the way, when we were thinking up names for the super successful and not at all maligned podcast that we do for movies, One Take, we didn't think that anything with the name Take in it would just get aggregated to anything First Take. So like when you look up our name, it just is immediately just First Take.
Yeah.
Like anything that Stephen A does,
yeah.
It's just like, where can we find you? You think you can't?
Yeah.
Because we didn't do that SEO right.
Yeah. So
SEO.
SEO. Yeah. So that's what we're doing. That's how it is. But I'm excited that we have our own space and all of this. Nothing really changes other than the fact that now to search for this content, it's easy. You don't have to sift through the other things that we do, which there's a lot of stuff on the main channel. There's just a lot. We've been at it for over 4.5 years now, and there's a lot of stuff there. So
this is your slow separation from this company, if you just want to admit that.
I mean, this company still owns this podcast. So yeah, I mean, no, it's not like no, but it's good. I have long-term plans for this that are hopefully really big. It just involves the company growing to a place that I can say, hey, can you guys give me money for this? And like, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to they're like, hey, can you guys give me money for this? And they're like, what money?
No.
I mean, we'd love to. Like, here's the thing. I used to work for an owner who would be like, hey, we need money for this. We need to fix this broken thing in the studio. And he'd be like, no. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to tie some wires together, and then you guys will have to press 7 buttons in this exact sequence to get this to work.
Right.
And then if you don't do that, it's not going to work, and Smokey's going to flip out and go, how do you not know how to do this? And then you show him that you have to push 7 buttons in sequence because there's wires tied together instead of it getting repaired. And then he goes down the hall and goes, why would you do that to these poor bastards? And then we're all just like, please kill me.
Yeah, it was a lot like Oppenheimer, y'all's operation.
Yeah. So, he would freak out. And justifiably so, sometimes we're like, we do this every day. Yeah, but, I have to hit this one and this one, and I got to hang up this phone. Well, this has nothing to do with it. Also, for some reason, this is routing through Taiwan. No idea why.
You have to drink water and sing at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it was. And then 7 months after that argument they would have, then an engineer guy would come in and go, who the hell did this? And we would be like, well, I think I know. I mean, he won't admit it, but this, he's like, well, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You're like, yeah, no, we're not engineers and we thought that. So, but now I have a company that is like, look, we would love to, but we have to plan these out things long in advance, which they've supported us no matter what. So it just takes a little bit longer. I would I'd like to be the money guy who gets immediately hey, how about this? Kind of like Pat McAfee can just pretty much, he'd be like, hey, we're going to go to this place and do the show, and I'm going to get really drunk on the air, and the last hour of the show is going to be nonsensical. And they're like, great.
Fine.
They'll love it.
Yeah.
They'll love it. We'll sell T-shirts of you like drooling on a microphone and make up the money for it in a second.
The scroller that says this is a comedy show. Don't
Yeah.
take it seriously.
Yeah, good plan. I'm Don. Like so those kind of things. But super excited. So Royden, I sent you a couple of topics today, and I will give you, since you're fresh off vacation and you maybe have vacation brain.
Yeah, and I absolutely was watching college football while we were.
In Spain. It's very big in Spain. Mm-hmm. Like they're very jealous that Ireland is the only European nation that gets a college football game.
A lot of people on the street were asking me, what do you think about the Kansas State Wildcats?
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm sure they're saying we would love to see the Mississippi State. Mm-hmm. We'd love to see them here, Mississippi State. And also, we'd like to see the Georgia Bulldogs from Athens, Georgia.
I'm not going to besmirch anybody that I ran into, but I thought that thing was a bit that
No, it's not.
Not a bit.
Yeah.
It is a real accent. And I was just I always thought it was a bit that people that studied abroad in Europe came back and were like, when I was in Barcelona and I did and I was like, okay, you're doing I get it. But no, you go there and everybody, they speak.
We would like to see the Vandenberg Commodores and the Pavia, the El Ringon. As my favorite podcaster, the Paul Catalina. That's what he calls him.
A lot of people were like, what do you think about Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning? We really want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah. We like the Peyton. We don't like the Eli.
Yeah.
So,
really good bits that we're doing on this show.
I'm doing a really narrow Spanish character.
Oh, yeah.
I know that I am. They are, I've always wanted to go there. You were just there. It's an insanely beautiful country.
There were things that genuinely, and I don't say this very often, and architecture isn't my strong suit, but there were things in some of those. First of all, you'd walk into any building and it's older than the country that we're living in right now. But this is from 1560. But there were things in the architecture in there that I was looking at and it literally took my breath away. And I was like, oh, this isn't from this earth. Actually, I'm not sure how you built this. And so in the chat, tell me if you've been to Spain and you enjoy it. But it is one of those things where if you haven't been, you should really check it out. They know how to build churches over there. I'll say that.
I don't know. That's one of those places where I don't know how they you watch Egypt and the pyramids, that churches in Spain, all those things, Rome, the Stonehenge, and you're like, how did you do this without the stuff that we have now? That's what
it's unbelievable. And I will get off this here in a second, but the Sagrada Familia, which is the most visited thing in Spain, in Barcelona, they started building it relatively late. It started being built in the 1880s, and that was one of the things that took my breath away. But then you go down the street and you walk into a chapel, and genuinely they were like, we started building this in the 1600s, and you go, how? How did you possibly lift this stone? And I think a lot of it has to do with human suffering, but it's just these massive things built that show you what humans can really do, and it was unbelievable. But yeah, I'd go back. I'd say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, you drink wine with every meal, so that was fun.
Breakfast.
I swear to God, we asked a guy, and he's like, I was like, what do you normally do for breakfast? He's like, oh, we wake up at 7:30 and we have a pastry and then a breakfast wine. I'm like, what? It's commonplace. It's whatever.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, now we know why Spain has never since the 1500s hasn't conquered the world.
No, they're just vibing, dude.
They spent too much time celebrating after that. We did it.
Yeah.
Wine and breakfast.
We're done. Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, do we have Cuba anymore? No.
What about
when
Florida?
Did that happen?
We forgot.
When did that happen? Oh, in 1898? Oh, crap.
Man.
Where were we?
Napping.
Yeah. That's it.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay, so which topic? I gave you Baylor's record at the end of the year, coaches who are going to be fired or at new jobs, good or bad. Good or bad, new jobs or not there, and who should A&M's quarterback be going forward?
I think we can start with A&M because I think it was a big story over the weekend, that win over LSU.
Do you think this is something, by the way, giving the co-host the option of topics in order that we should start doing now in this new era of our own channel.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's a courtesy.
Yeah, because mostly just inside baseball. One, I just wasn't here to like research a lot of this stuff, and then two, Paul will send this to me. Today was a little bit earlier, but sometimes it's like at 11:30.
Yeah,
it's just like, what do you think?
Yeah,
well, I'll figure it out. But I did look up, and looked at a lot of the Marcel Reed highlights and watched some of that game, and I think that your point stands. They just can't go back to Weigman. Not for anything that he's done necessarily wrong. Yeah, I don't think he's played up to the 5-star caliber that everybody thought he would. He just can't stay healthy.
Well, and the other thing is, the other night had nothing to do with his health. It's just he did not provide what they needed to beat LSU.
Yeah.
And Marcel Reed absolutely did.
Yeah, he only threw 2 passes, but it didn't really matter. That threat of pulling the ball and the option keepers in the red zone obviously threw LSU for a loop. And look, LSU's defense isn't the LSU's defense of the past, and they haven't been for a couple of seasons. But
they were, sadly for them, and Garrett knows this, they were getting better. They like from the first game to now, they have been getting better or masking their deficiencies a lot better, which means you're getting better. But they still have one really bad glaring weakness that I don't think is something you can fix in a year, which is they can't handle running quarterbacks.
No, and I mean, a couple of those times it's like he just pulls the ball and gets to the outside, and they don't have any outside contain, and he waltzes in the end zone, and then there's one where he pulls the ball way last second and then walks right up the middle for one of those touchdowns. And I think that threat was too much for them to handle. And Weigman.
Yeah.
Connor Weigman took 4 sacks in that game as well, too. Mm-hmm. So it's something that, he's been sacked 7 times on the year, and, Reed had been sacked 4 times. 3 of those were in the Arkansas game. But I think he's been not good handling the pressure Weigman has this year. And 3 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and I can name stats for you all day, but Reed hasn't turned the ball over. Mm-hmm. And that running threat, whether it will equate to long-term success or not, is just another option that you don't have with Weigman. Mm-hmm. Weigman only had like 98 rushing yards on the year so far.
Yeah.
So I don't think Weigman's done by any stretch of the imagination. Now, whether that Marcel Reed's like, isn't he a true freshman? Mm-hmm. I don't think he's done, whether that means he goes somewhere else or not. But after watching some of that LSU game, there's just no way that you can look at your team and be like, hey, this guy that's like got us through all these tough games and got us to the point where we are and helped us come back against LSU and get one of the signature wins that we've had in a long time, and has now set us up to be really challenged for the SEC. And we're going to not go with that guy.
Yeah.
We're going to go with the other guy who's visibly been struggling all year. 1, to stay healthy, but 2, to like hang on to the ball and complete passes downfield at a rate that you need him to without his legs, if it's gonna go anywhere. So
I think if you put Connor Weigman in an offense that had wide receivers like Ohio State's or Ole Miss or whatever, like he would throw for 4,000 yards. Like he's got that kind of talent. But see, that's the other thing. It's weird is that A&M is very good and they're as good as they've been in a long time. But their wide receivers, they've got 4 guys. Would you say 4 guys who are a number 2 receiver, Garrett?
At least 3. I would say at least 3.
Yeah, at least 3 guys that are number 2 receivers. They don't have a true number 1 receiver, and they don't have a guy who's an established burner yet. Although next year I have a feeling that will be Terry Bussey. He's just a freshman and has to learn that. But because Garrett was at the game, I know you know this, but Garrett was at the game.
I'm sorry.
The other night,
it was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun regardless.
Yeah, and so, but. It's interesting because they used to have a couple guys who were alpha dog receivers And I don't think Evan Stewart is regretting his choice. He's having a good year at Oregon. So he's not regretting his choice, but they don't have that dude.
Mike Evans isn't walking through that door.
No, I mean, and the other thing for Evan Stewart is he has him and Tez Johnson among the other offensive weapons they have, but that's two alphas right there in the room. That's where A&M doesn't have that. You know what their wide receiver core reminds me of is that first Vegas Knights team. That was the most brilliant expansion draft ever, where they're like, we're going to draft one star, and then the rest of everybody is going to be the guys who are on the second line of every team.
Yep.
So we have all of our lines are the same, and everybody else, they have a fourth line. Well, we do too, but it's really a second line, and we're going to beat people because our guys are better than theirs.
Well, if you wanted to look at what Mike Elko wants to do, obviously is ball control. It all comes down in that defense is, of course, for under him was always going to be better, I think, because that's his bread and butter. But if you wanted to look at why he had success at Duke when Riley Leonard was up and moving, it was the option keepers running the ball control, time management, and then we just need enough stops to really put this thing to bed. Yeah. And Reed just gives that to you. Mm-hmm. I don't really have much more to expound upon, but I think under this new regime, you're gonna see a lot more smash mouth, hard nosed, downhill running game, and then Reed gives you that option to break a play and bounce it outside, and I just always love the option threat, even when in the red zone, even when quarterbacks, I always relate things back to Baylor, but what was it? Bryce Petty had 10 or 12 rushing touchdowns one year because they would just run him in the red zone on option keepers. Mm-hmm. And that just provides another threat that the defense has to account for, especially when you're good at it. And I go back to that play. I go back to that play where he held onto the ball. I mean, truly, the running back nearly took it out of his hands, and he runs right up the middle. But the gap, and when the flow was going all of the players, go back and watch the play. I think there was 9 players on one side and maybe 2 cornerbacks and a safety, and the hole opened up the Red Sea parted, and he just walked into the end zone. I think it provides a whole nother layer that Wegman just can't do for you.
Yeah, no, I love I love the way Marcel Reed plays. I love his fire, and they don't have to have him pass just yet, but he's pretty good at that. And
he's got a good arm. I'm not saying he doesn't.
I remember thinking he was Mr. Tennessee football. He's from Nashville. It was funny. Last Christmas, I'm visiting my in-laws. And I can't remember what they were doing downstairs. They were watching something, and then I was like, "Well, I'm going to go upstairs. I want to watch this A&M game." And so they're like, "Oh yeah," it was not I'm being mad, but I go up there, and immediately Marcel Reed gets thrown into the game. The second play of the game, he's in. Jalen Henderson breaks his arm, and he's in the game. He spent this whole time thinking well, maybe if I get a shot, I might be able to play late in this game, and the world will get to see what I got. That's what he thought, and he had to play the whole game. First quarter, I wouldn't call it an unmitigated disaster, but it looked very much like a guy who's me. What right now?
You're serious?
He did what now? You mean his whole arm? I mean, okay,
amputate.
Yeah. Okay, good. And then by the end, you start watching him, by the end of the game, once he starts playing, you're this guy's an athlete. Mm-hmm. And so if he gets any kind of rapport with any of these guys, and he already had one, Ja'Day Walker had a great game in that bowl game at Oklahoma State, and I was thinking, well, this is going to be interesting. Down the line, my thought was, how long can they keep this kid? Because Connor Wegman's coming back. He's a 5-star prospect. Let's be real here. He's going to have to wait. Well, Connor Wegman gets hurt early. Marcel Reed's been fantastic. And now, and this is something that if you're not familiar with the history of A&M quarterbacks, that happens to them more than anybody ever. They have 2 guys that everybody likes. And, it shifts, right? It goes back okay, we like this guy more and this guy more. But there is nothing more crazy than an A&M quarterback controversy. And it goes back years and years and years.
You don't even have to go back that far. Ryan Tannehill was a great wide receiver because he couldn't play quarterback.
Well, no, they flipped it. So Gerard Johnson was the quarterback.
Yeah.
And Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver because they wanted him on the field.
Yeah.
Then Gerard Johnson got hurt, and when he came back, he wasn't as effective. So Ryan Tannehill became the starter.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
He had to play wide receiver because it's like, well, Gerard Johnson, who was a great quarterback going back and looking at it.
And now about to be a head coach somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be the offensive coordinator for the Texans when they fire Bobby Slowick, but that's a whole other conversation. But the idea that, like, even going back, I don't know, it's been a decade now or maybe a little bit over, but even going back and it's like one of the best quarterbacks that ever played for A&M over the past couple of decades was a wide receiver for the first part of his career.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Look, I'll go back. Look, and even so, Gerard Johnson, he became the quarterback after Stephen McGee. Mm-hmm. Stephen McGee became the quarterback after Reggie McNeil. So Stephen McGee became the quarterback after Reggie McNeil, and they tired of Reggie McNeil. And then you get I can go back almost every single one. When they won the Big 12 in 1998, it was between Brandon Stewart and Randy McCown. It kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And Brandon Stewart was the quarterback who threw the pass to Sir Parker that won the game. But Randy McCown, he was also the quarterback. It went so
Paul, we don't even have to go back that far. The biggest quarterback controversy in the past couple of decades, I mean, up until now with Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers was literally the quarterback that's starting for the Cardinals right now.
Oh, Kyler Murray and Kyle Allen transferred out on the same damn day.
Yeah.
Kevin Sumlin's Kyler, you're the quarterback. He's about that, going to Oklahoma. And then he turns around and goes, Kyle, guess what? Kyler's going to Oklahoma. You're the quarterback. And he's about that.
Yeah. Houston sounds really good.
Yeah. I'm going to go where it's not crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go where it's not crazy. And then Kevin Sumlin's crap. And then he's well, maybe I should call that quarterback that Oklahoma has that's about to get supplanted by Kyler. And then Trevor Knight saved his ass. Not long term, but
in a season, yeah.
Yeah. A&M quarterback history. I need Owen Buchanan.
One
of the writers needs to, one of the TexAgs guys needs to write a book about this, about what it's been like to be an A&M quarterback. There are, and Bucky Richardson will have, he could have a statue built of him there. They love him. Except when he first started, it was him and Lance Pavlis, and a lot of people were Pavlis is a little bit of a better thrower. Let's get Pavlis. But Bucky was ultimately he's Mr. A&M. They love him there. I don't know. I'm sure Gary Kubiak, who's one of their greatest ones, had some controversy about him.
Yeah. Is it just something about the school? Because this also has happened. This also has happened at my alma mater, but is it just something about the school, or is it something about the coaches that it has where it's we are going, no quarterback is ever safe? Because this happens a lot in college football.
I would tell you that the places that it happens at less are only chasing themselves, right? It's not that it's not happened at Alabama, or that it's not happened at Georgia, or that's not happened
it happened at Alabama in a national championship season.
It comes up. It's unavoidable for everybody. It is. But the ones who constantly have quarterback controversies are the ones who are modeling their program after chasing someone else. And God bless them. I grew up in an Aggie family, but I kind of understand it now in a different way, that A&M, no matter what they tell you, is always going to be chasing Texas until they do something on their own, win a national championship, win multiple conference championships, beat Texas in these big situations many times in a row. And look, I'll tell you this. It could be, and I'm fresh off watching the 04 Red Sox documentary, which is fantastic.
The 18th documentary they've made about that thing?
And this is the best one, by far.
Really?
By far. Oh, my God, by a long shot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because I really like the ESPN one, I think a 30 for 30 that they did on it.
This one's it's by far the one that Well, now everybody's far enough away from it, so they're like really telling you what was going on, as opposed to like broad strokes.
I saved it on Netflix, and I'm not even a Red Sox fan, but that whole postseason and stuff holds a weird place in my brain.
Well,
it's like right when I was coming online as a sports fan.
I'll tell you this. That was the night that the Yankee mystique died. When they lost that, the Yankees lost that mystique, especially to the Red Sox. But I think to a lot of people, I think you're seeing it right now in the World Series of the Dodgers.
Hate that.
Yeah, that they're just not that scary anymore.
No, they're not the big bad empire.
They're just like, to me, they're just like anybody else. Spend money, don't spend money. Like there's the 27 titles. Like that doesn't mean what it used to when teams were playing the Yankees in the World Series. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just the Red Sox who did that. Like it was also the Diamondbacks and the Marlins. But like the Red Sox beating them before they got to the World Series and like finally taking away, like the Yankees are no longer a bully to them. Like it's
they're not Big Brother anymore.
So the Yankees always had this like refillable well of fear and sadness that was Boston. Like, so if the Yankees are down, don't worry. We'll take the wind right out of Boston's sails, and then we'll buoy our spirits with that. So, you lose to the Diamondbacks in 01, you beat the Red Sox. Like, you have that buoys you.
Yeah.
And then when you lose, like, when you're no longer – when you try to be a bully and you can't be anymore, then you can't do that. Now, look, they won in 2009, but it wasn't because they beat the Red Sox on the way or they bullied their way into it like they used to. They were just really good.
Yeah,
so,
and then they played like – didn't they play like the I was going to say like the Rockies or something in the –
No, the Red Sox beat the Rockies. But yeah.
All right, okay.
But yeah, so like you have like all these things that have happened. For A&M, I think they need that kind of moment against Texas where in a championship moment, in something that's going to affect the playoff, national championship, conference championship, in that moment that they can stare down Texas and beat them, they need that.
By the way, you're staring down the barrel of it.
Yeah,
right now.
they're staring at like the barrel of it. Like, and I don't know if they'll get it, but like that's what needs to happen because the problem with the Red Sox forever was that they were always chasing the Yankees. Well, now they're about the same. Like they're the same team. In fact, recently, since 2004, the Red Sox have won 4 World Series. The Yankees have won 1.
Yeah.
So again, Babe Ruth is not, and Mickey Mantle are not affecting this anymore. The ghosts are gone. They exercise that. But for A&M and Texas, A&M still has Ricky Williams and Earl Campbell and, James Street and Bill Bradley and like all these unbelievable Texas players in their head.
Justin Tucker.
Yeah, absolutely. Justin Tucker. That was the guy who won the last game that they played, right? So all of those things are still like they're still running through College Station, Texas. They're still like when they go play in Austin and, until they win, they're still going to be walking through the monuments, right? And going, oh man, look at that. We better not do this.
Yeah,
once you can slay the dragon, things will be different. And I'll tell you who's slayed the dragon, even though that dragon comes up and beats them, but they've still been consistent, is Georgia had it with Alabama. Mm-hmm. Now, does Alabama beat Georgia and they on a winning streak against them? Yeah, but Kirby Smart and Georgia's not what they were like during the Matthew Stafford era, where when you have a quarterback that good, you should totally win a title with him, right? They had other good quarterbacks that were championship caliber, maybe not superstar NFL players, but they had those times, but guess what? It was always Alabama or Florida who were like jumping up and get them. Well, now the ghosts are gone, and now it's just you and me today, and let's see who's better.
Yeah.
That's what it needs to be, but A&M does not have that with Texas.
It's always weird, and we've talked about it on this show once or twice, but how the curses or whatever you want to call them, the momentum of college football translates for millennia, even though, like, heck, the players that are on Marcel Reed, how old is like 19, 20?
Yeah.
Like, how old was he in 2009, the last time that the A&M and Texas played? And it's so weird to me, the ghosts of Christmas past or the curses of how a team plays against this one team translates from class to class no matter what, even though I've always found it weird that even though these kids were like literally 5 years old the last time that they played each other, they don't have any recollection of that. It's not in their memory. But somehow it gets translated, and maybe it's the pressure that the fans put on them or whatever that have been fans for a long time. It's so weird how that translates every single year down to the players, even though they have no recollection of any sort of like,
yeah.
Why would that? You know,
but you feel it with the fans, right? You
I
feel
guess
like
that's
fans,
it.
like,
I guess that's it. It's the
like,
pressure, the outside pressure, putting in like we need to win this one.
But
it's like,
have you ever been in a game? I mean, yes, I know you as a fan. We're about to have it this week here in Waco.
Yeah,
it's Baylor and TCU. You'll be sitting in the stands watching Baylor and TCU, and maybe even a better Baylor team than this TCU team. And then that first thing goes wrong, and you're like, crap.
Here we go again.
Here it is. That's the thing they have to get over.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to do this. Now, Baylor and TCU aren't the same thing as A&M and Texas.
No.
But it's still, for Baylor and for the Baylor fan base, that exists because the players who have not beaten TCU know it. And then you can feel it in the stands. Mm-hmm. When you have that many people and their collective energies and the collective – like when that happens, you feel it. Like you have to. Like I remember.
That's why I still believe that momentum is a real thing. Anyway,
I can tell. Yeah. I can tell you when Baylor against Texas in the game where they ran out of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
When that happened,
2015 or
yeah,
was it?
2015.
Yeah. When
that happened, granted, had they figured out what they were going to do about 10 minutes earlier, they might have won the game. Mm-hmm. But, again, how can you begrudge human beings like, hey, let's see if this works, and then being like, I don't know if that's going to work, and then be like, well, it's all we can do.
Right.
And then having the wall taken down of like, well, it's all we can do, so we got to do it, and then it working and be like, oh, man, we should have
done it earlier.
We should have done it earlier. Like, that's how it is. But I remember I was doing sideline for that game for the national radio broadcast. And so they asked me like, what's the feeling down there on the sideline now that there's no quarterbacks? And I'm like, look, I have a very good relationship with this team, but I have decided that I'm going to park it over here like 15 yards away from where I normally would be standing right now because it is tense over there. And they started laughing. I'm like, no, it's really tense. And then I kind of looked back in the stands and you could see the fans that were just like, and then because it's Texas, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's a very real thing. And when you cast a big shadow as Texas. Now, some of it's real and some of it is mythical, right?
Yeah.
But that's not Texas's fault, really. I mean, like, look, if part of it is real and part of it is Sasquatch, if you believe in Sasquatch and you think he's there, like, it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Until you are proven that there's no Sasquatch, you're always going to believe that he's there. And that's what happened with the Red Sox and the Yankees, and maybe by extension the Yankees and the rest of the league, because the rest of the league saw it as like, well, the Red Sox are the one team that can maybe take the wind out of their sails, and they never do. And then when they finally did, it was just like, oh, okay, we beat them in this World Series, and they're like, yeah, but they've been in 60 World Series. Like, a lot of people have done this one time. The problem is that they'll come back and win 3 in a row,
right? And
then they'll forget that the Marlins won this thing. Mm-hmm. By the time the Yankees win their next 10, somebody will be like, who beat them in 2003? And they're like, the Marlins, the Florida Marlins.
And they won 60 games the next year.
Yeah, nobody knows. So when we come back, 2 topics: coaches who will have new homes next year, and what will Baylor's record be at the end of the year. We'll do those in the last 20 minutes of the show. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports and its own damn channel.
Hey.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Please, look, we have 6 people watching on the new channel.
Hey!
So thank you, all 6 of you. And thank you to all the people watching on the regular channel. You can do either. We're fine with either. But I would love it if you would go over to the new channel, subscribe, like the videos, and give us some views. Like, that's our currency in this world. So
It's always really humbling when you, I know you have to do it, but it's always really humbling when you get on a podcast or a show and you're like, guys, please, can you?
Hey, like the link in the bio.
Subscribe and download.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Royden, Ogletree, Paul Catalina here on the One True Triple Option. And
on 2 channels.
Yeah, on two channels. So, thanks to Rogue Media and, of course, 365 Sports for coming together and making this happen. But, okay, well, I'm going to ask you, and we can be really quick with this one.
Yeah.
Don't need to expound too much on it. Baylor has 4 games left. TCU, right. Houston, West Virginia, Kansas. I might have gotten those. Did I get those in the right order exactly?
We will see.
I think you did.
It is TCU, West Virginia, Houston, Kansas.
Oh, TCU, West Virginia, Houston, Kansas, and a bye next
between
week.
TCU and
bye next week. So they are 4-4 right now. They should be bare minimum 6-6 with that schedule.
Right.
What do you think they will be?
I think 7-5.
Yeah.
I think now look, Kansas has been in. I'm skipping all the way to the end of the season, but Kansas has literally lost all their games by 1 score. So that worries me a little bit.
TCU was technically 2 scores, but they were leading in that game.
Yeah. And that worries me that they're going to catch a couple people at the end of the year that are not really expecting it. And in fact, they nearly did it against Kansas State, and that would have been really funny. But the idea that you're going to walk over anyone else left on your schedule because all of a sudden Houston's playing a lot better football. Granted, Utah isn't good. And the West Virginia made a quarterback change because did Garrett Green get hurt?
No, I think they just made Nico Marchiol the guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that seemed to have worked for them. I really, the hill to climb over is this next game. I think if they win this next game against TCU, the confidence in that program and in that locker room is going to skyrocket because they haven't, like you said, we talked about it all last segment. What are they what's the record in the past? They've lost 5 in a row.
They've lost 5 straight, and I think they've only won once in a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
2019?
Yeah, 2019.
A rivalry. I was at that game, actually. A rivalry that was, by all accounts, the closest that it could possibly be through the 120 years of a rivalry they were playing before the forward pass was invented. It all of a sudden has shifted to where TCU kind of owns you a little bit now, and you have to get some get back. And if you can't do it at home, which we all know about Baylor's struggles at home, but if you can't do it at home against a very beatable TCU team, granted, their offense is incredible.
With the 61-58 team in attendance.
Yeah.
It's going to be so strange.
Yeah.
And so tense and so, there's,
there's a lot of, tight butthole. It's just it is a lot of that and a lot of clinching going on, I imagine, in the stands. And they've lost in such weird ways over the past few times against TCU. Everybody remembers the scramble fire drill when the season that TCU went to the national championship and all of that. I think if you can get over that hill, then there's a real possibility you win 8 games, and all of a sudden things are looking really good for a program that we thought was dead and buried 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I think realistically it's 7-5. I think you can beat Houston and Kansas, and you're going to struggle probably defensively, even though they're playing better, against a high-powered TCU offense and against West Virginia, where they never win.
Yeah.
It is a house of horrors for them.
I will say, though, that
in that stadium,
if they hit 4-6, at any point during this, again, if they lose the next 2 for whatever reason, right, then, I'm not betting on them getting to 6 because then I think the confidence is shot.
Yeah.
But if they keep playing with this confidence, especially if they can find a way to win this week, and I usually make my pick in the Levi sends it out Monday morning. I make my pick almost right away, right? Just get it out. I will probably send it in on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Because I have to think about this in so many different ways. Okay, moving on. And then we're going to do something at the end of this. It's going to be called Random News, which is NFL stories and then one sad story from the world of entertainment.
Oh, good.
But you're a movie guy, so you'll appreciate it. Which coaches will be different places next year? Retired, fired, other job.
I mean,
Let's ping pong back and forth.
Okay. Mac Brown will be in Cabo San Lucas.
Okay.
Enjoying his retirement.
Kyle Whittingham will be in the cabana right next to him.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think
wow.
Kyle Whittingham will be right next to him. They've already put Morgan Scalley as the head coach in waiting. When we talked to Kyle Whittingham, this was not a guy I feel a little bit ripped off because I wanted grizzled Kyle Whittingham and I could see it
We got thrown in the towel, Kyle.
we got what I can see it. I can see me, riding my motorcycle when the wife says, "Hey, let's go on vacation," and me going, "Tomorrow?"
Yeah.
He had that vibe about him.
He does sound really good.
He was very at peace, and not that he's not a chill guy, because I think that he is at his core. Now, you don't see that during his coaching times where he's just like John Wayne out there, but I got the vibe of and here's the thing, and I think that anybody watching this show right now who is retired knows this. The minute you start thinking about retiring, you are already kind of retired, right? The minute you start going, I can see the end. I can see me retiring. I want to do this by this time. When you have a general date in your head, then you already have senioritis.
Yeah.
It's human nature. From March to May, your senior year of high school, how hard did you study?
I don't think I did homework.
And here's the other thing. When you think back on it, how much really heavy homework did you have?
0.
You know why?
The teachers
everyone know. They know. They know, hey, look, this kid's at the finish line. There are certain things we have to do that are serious, but let's take back the serious things because they're not.
Very unserious.
They're very unserious.
Yes.
We see it every day. So let's not punish them because it's not like this group of seniors is worse than the last one. No, they're all the same.
Yeah. All children. Matt Campbell's going to be at Ohio State.
No, I doubt
No, it's not going to happen.
No,
I just wanted to throw that out.
I'm going to say that Lane Kiffin's going to be somewhere else.
Where?
Florida.
Really?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Here's my super hypothetical scenario. And it wouldn't be that hypothetical had they lost to Nebraska last week.
Right.
But if Ohio State loses 2 more times, say they do lose to Penn State this week, and say they lose in the playoff, or maybe even lose in the Big Ten championship game. Mm-hmm. If they have 3 losses with a $20 million NIL budget, and maybe only 1 win from Ryan Day over Michigan, which would be this year, which I still think they'll beat Michigan, or if he loses to Michigan, then Ryan Day will be the coach at Florida. Mm-hmm. Because it'll just be one of those things where he probably goes to them and be like, look, we're both going to part ways. He's not like an alum or anything. He went to New Hampshire, and then he and Chip Kelly and everybody else can go down to Florida, and then Ohio State, tries to hire, Matt Campbell or Luke Fickell.
Yeah.
So
Spencer Danielson.
Man, it would not surprise me to see him.
They're 6-1. They're 15th in the country right now. They're going to lose the best running back that's ever played football.
Yeah.
And look, Boise State probably hates every time that their name gets thrown into the pot of coaches that are going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Why
they do keep coaches pretty well, though.
They do,
because there's a really good culture going back there. So,
and there's always a chance that they get thrown into a higher conference or whatever. But
well, they are. They're in the Pac-12 now.
Sure. And no, he took over in December of last year.
Yeah.
He's only 36. There's a chance that there more than fair chance he's gonna stick around. But like, I don't know, man. Something huge comes open.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah. No,
36. Everybody wants to take the chance on the young coach.
Yeah.
To lead the program and stick around for forever.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long shot, but I'm putting it out there.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one. Like I still think even though Billy Napier's rallied a lot, he'll be a coordinator somewhere next year.
Yeah.
Or he'll be back in like the Sun
Special
Belt.
assistant.
Yeah. Or exactly. Special assistant, head coach, consulting and living off the buyout.
I know we were ping-ponging, but I just wanted to is it more likely that Jeff Traylor finds a better job or that he gets fired?
Oh, he's not gonna get fired. He's not getting fired. Like this is he's had one bad year. Yeah.
But do you think they might be tired of him flirting with all the other jobs?
No, I think that's probably good for them.
They will just be like, okay, well, we'll take the wins.
They're going to have to, like, your UTSA, you're going to have to deal with that no matter who it is.
That's fair.
J.J. Kenny.
Yes, if he had a better season this year, maybe.
Okay.
He's the next head coach in waiting for someone.
Yeah.
But I just think that, like, they're 4-3. They've had a tough schedule, just like UTSA had a really tough schedule.
Yeah.
And they played really well in some of those games that they lost. But I just think that, like, if he had a better record, you could see him at one of these Texas schools or something.
I'll tell you, two people who are on the hot seat all year who I think are off, Sam Pittman and Dave Aranda.
Yeah,
right now.
I think they're done.
I think they're fine.
Yeah, we espoused a lot. I did a long segment about why I think Dave Aranda may get the boot, but that seems to have shaken itself out.
Well, I mean, like, look, if he does not get to a bowl game through these 4 games, then he needs to walk away himself. Like, okay, maybe I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
Like I say that kiddingly, but like he's been given the opportunity of this is the best 2-game stretch you've had in 2 years. Mm-hmm. You've beaten 2 teams. You scored a ton of points on them. Your offense is humming now. You've got a quarterback who's getting better each and every week. You still certainly do have some deficiencies, but go out and beat the mediocrity at the bottom of the conference.
Yeah.
And be 7-5 or 8-4.
It's right as rain.
Yeah.
In this area.
And look, if you can flip from last year to 8-4, then really you've got a coach who acknowledged his issues.
Yeah.
Fixed most of them, and now can build forward. And people can go,
with
okay.
a decent recruiting class coming in, which is what everybody's talking about. To that end, Sonny Dykes, if it goes off the rails here at the end.
I think Sonny's got another year, but I think he's the same spot.
Yeah.
I think he's the same spot. 2, here's the last 2 I'll mention. Neil Brown, I think, gone. I think the fans have lost total faith in him.
He saved his job last year by the grace of God.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Garrett Green's legs.
But nothing has changed. They're not better than anybody. Like, they're not better than the good teams.
In a year that you thought that you would be able to be a dark horse in the Big 12, it just ended up being the same.
Also, who do they hate more than anybody?
Pitt.
Has Pitt lost yet?
I don't think so.
They have not. That does not do well, because when they go and run into the Yinzers, when they're at Permane Brothers talking about it,
great sandwich shop.
It's just all over. And then Paxton said it's the only Big 12. No, I think the coach on the hottest seat right now is Neil Brown. I don't think Mike Gundy's on a hot seat because he's got a lifetime contract.
Yeah.
But if you told me he was going to retire, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't question
it. I'll tell you who's also on an increasingly hot seat week by week. And they've been besieged by injuries, but Brent Venables.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, before, Oklahoma could withstand this kind of thing because they had talent waiting in the wings. That is not a talented roster on offense.
And it's going off the rails quickly. They just don't look good.
They have 2 pretty good, talented quarterbacks. I think Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins both have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But when you have walk-ons at wide receiver and tight end and center and, like, all these things, like, you've got a depth problem.
And also your specialty is supposed to be defense, and you're getting housed by, like, Texas and stuff like that. Yeah, it's tough. Is Chris Kleiman okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because didn't he, like...
He had, like, a dizzy spell or something.
Okay, I just wanted to...
I think he's okay. All right, so some quick random news. So in the last hour, 3 NFL stories have happened.
Oh, no. I know one.
Stephon Diggs out for the year.
I want to become the Joker.
Yeah. Yeah. So they better hope Nico's back pretty fast.
Yeah, they're not going to have him for Thursday Night Football, which, whatever.
But
don't
maybe,
play.
but
Don't
maybe
play.
next week?
Yeah, don't play on that MetLife turf. Apparently he's healthy. They just put him on the IR to make sure he was healthy, and he's running up to 20 miles an hour. I've been following this with a microscope, but he'll play on that Saturday or Sunday Night Football. I can't remember what it was, but he'll play in that game. But they're not going to. Well, one, he can't come off the IR, but two, they wouldn't even think to sacrifice him to that MetLife turf.
Yeah, is his practice window open yet?
No, I think it's after this game.
Yeah, okay. So he and Christian McCaffrey will be back.
Yeah, I'm sure Christian McCaffrey is going to play. I'm sure of it.
On the 10th he is. He's going to be back after next week.
Sure.
Yeah.
His totally healthy legs.
Yeah. Deontay Johnson has been traded from the Panthers to the Ravens.
Oh, I'm sure another wide receiver will definitely help that passing attack,
which is really good.
Nah, Lamar's gotten more way better as a passer, and you don't have Rashad Bateman bricking passes off of his helmet it'll be.
But you have, and Rashad Bateman's been okay, but you have
Zay Flowers,
Deontay Johnson, all the tight ends you'd ever want in your life.
Likely
Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell, who was great last year, coming back.
Yeah.
It's now or never, baby, for the Ravens.
They just have to have their defense not brick interceptions.
Yeah. In Baltimore, they're doing well.
Baltimore.
Go
Ravens.
Okay. The Colts are going to bench Anthony Richardson, and Joe Flacco is going to be the starter there.
Something about Flacco that I was that Stavros, but there's something about Flacco that I like.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, one, their offense is just better with Joe Flacco as the quarterback, which is the same thing as the Browns. It's maybe we just need a guy that can complete passes. That'd be great.
Yeah. And I'm going to make a prediction for Anthony Richardson. Here's how badly it's gone. The NFL obviously talked him into leaving. I mentioned this yesterday with Garrett. He was the third pick in the draft. He had to go. But he should still be the quarterback at Florida.
Yeah.
Billy Napier would be living large because Anthony Richardson would be one of the top 3 picks in the draft this year. Florida would be fine, at least record-wise. They would be not firing Billy Napier, and DJ Lagway would be coming in, and
you wouldn't have to play.
They wouldn't have had all these transfer. There'd still be an ATN on their team. All these things would be there if Anthony Richardson hadn't left. And outside of Anthony Richardson being now rich as shit, there is nothing that's worked out for either side in that one. And I'm going to make a prediction. The next Taysom Hill, Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I thought it would be Trey Lance for the Cowboys.
He's also Taysom Hill, when he retires, can start a camp for those guys.
Yeah.
Here's
Were you supposed to be a tight end? Come to
come to
Taysom Hill's quarterback school for folks that want to do other things good and play good too.
Yeah, yeah. And some sad news as we end. The great Terry Garr, actress, Young Frankenstein, Tootsie, Mr. Mom. Oh my gosh, so many other things. She passed away today, but she was one of my favorites. She was very, very funny. One of the best comedic actresses.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh yeah, close. Well, that wasn't comedy at all, at least not intentionally. That's a great movie, but there's some.
Oh, you mean the abandoned dad storyline didn't do it for you?
Yeah, there's some parts in there though that are kind of funny, ironically. This means something.
It's a Spielberg movie.
Yeah. He knows it. If I told him some of this stuff is actually kind of funny, he would be like, "Oh yeah, no problem."
I really only know, because I hadn't ever sat down and watched Tootsie, but I really only know Terry Garr from Young Frankenstein, which was, for the younger people in the chat, if there are any, a truly unbelievable Mel Brooks movie. That they just, some of the stuff that they got away with in those movies is incredible. Young Frankenstein is a Mel Brooks, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And I had never watched it. My dad's like, you have to sit down and watch this movie. And I'm like, wait, is that the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond? And no, I just think that movie is a classic, and it made me laugh harder than I think most movies. A lot of those old Mel Brooks movies have made me laugh harder than any comedy that's come out.
Oh yeah,
in decades. But the Putting on the Ritz thing is
it's so good.
Unbelievable.
Okay, I'm going to give you for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the definitive Terry Garr filmography that you have to go through. Okay. Comedy-wise, like, because I can get it, like, we can get into the dramas, but
She's only 76. That's crazy.
Yeah. You need to watch Young Frankenstein, Oh God, which is with George Burns, Tootsie, Mr. Mom. Oh, yeah, she is in Dumb and Dumber.
Who's she in Dumb and Dumber? The
she
mom?
is, the mom. Yeah. Swanson.
Michael.
No. I'm gonna give you a fifth one. She's in a lot of movies. Oh gosh.
After Hours.
The Absent-Minded Waiter. No, that's not the one I was thinking of. Oh God.
After Hours.
Yeah, After Hours. Yeah, After Hours. See that one, and then you'll know. So, but Mr. Mom, one of the first breakout roles for
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, my mom loves
Jeffrey
Mr.
Tambor's
Mom.
in Mr. Mom.
Yeah, I think Mr.
Martin
Mom
Mull.
Mr. Mom I think has way more cultural relevance than I think when they made it that they ever thought it would.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a throwaway comedy or whatever with an up and coming Michael Keaton or whatever, comedy star. And then it just is like had this weird shelf life for 40 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got to sit down and watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's going to do it.
Oh.
We're done. It's 2:00. Go with God, Royden.
I will.
Enjoy. Will I see you this weekend? Will you be at the Baylor game?
No, I have to go take family pictures.
Oh, God bless you, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Love you.
God, I remember that. They were doing it at my parents' church. I had to do that one time.
Or you sit in front of like a backdrop and like.
Here's the worst part of it. I know we're going long, but the worst part of it was the family in front of us who were my parents' neighbors, by the way.
Nice.
And I was like, listen, if this does not stop, I'm going to go to their house afterward and be like, look, we are beefing.
We have to have a conversation.
We have to have a conversation. But they had like 4 kids. So they decided to do every permutation of the 6 people that they could. So here I am, like sine, cosine, tangent on a graph, figuring out like how much longer is this going to take. And my nephew was like, the youngest one was like 3 at the time. Like, do you not like all your kids? You have a 3-year-old. Is that one doing well? Why do you not give a crap about this one? Can you just like, again, and like I told my parents, I'm like, you got me for an hour.
Yeah.
I've got to go to work. You have me for an hour. So, the minute this starts ticking, this minute this ends, and I'm not in this picture. And so, thankfully, God rest his soul, my dad went over to the guy and was like, hey, can we just, like, hop in here? Paul's about to lose his mind, and he's got to go. And the guy was like, oh, we need a break.
Yeah. Thank you for saying something.
You.
Good God.
Yeah. Now I can tell my wife, like, oh, there's a reason. Like, it was one of those things where they locked eyes, and they were like, Jedi dads. We're like, all right, gotcha.
We're going to wrap this up.
Gotcha. That's going to do it for us. Please subscribe to the new channel, The Trips Option with Paul Catalina. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have the co-host do something without me on that channel.
Look at that.
Are you excited, Royden?
Absolutely
There
not.
we go. I just told him. No. He didn't know this before I said that. That's going to do it for us. We've got R.C. Slocum on the main show today.
Hey, speaking of
We've
that,
got
man.
Bill Connolly from ESPN. We've got John McClain, Ricky Thompson, Craig's Off the Radar. My top 5, the Bowlesby Pod. Bye!